Sarah clutched her boarding pass with trembling fingers as she made her way down the narrow airplane aisle. Her 6-month-old daughter Emma was heavy in her arms, and the diaper bag kept sliding off her shoulder. Other passengers watched with impatient eyes as she struggled to check seat numbers. While juggling her crying baby, the flight from Chicago to Denver was supposed to be simple. A fresh start in a new city. A chance to rebuild her life as a single mother after her divorce was finalized 3 months ago. But nothing felt simple anymore. Everything seemed harder when you were doing it alone. Sarah stopped at row 12 and squinted at her boarding pass. Seat 12A. The window seat was already occupied by a sleeping woman. Confused, she checked the numbers above the seats again. This was definitely row 12. Emma began to cry louder, and Sarah felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. The businessman across the aisle looked up from his laptop with an annoyed expression. Behind her, she could hear other passengers shifting restlessly. "I'm so sorry," Sarah whispered to no one in particular. She looked at her boarding pass again, then at the seat numbers. In her exhaustion, she must have made a mistake. A gentle voice spoke from the seat beside her. "Is everything all right?" Sarah turned to see a man in his mid-30s with kind brown eyes and dark hair. He was wearing a crisp white shirt and navy pants, but his expression was warm and concerned. Unlike the other passengers, he didn't look annoyed by Emma's crying. "I think I'm in the wrong seat," Sarah admitted, her voice barely audible over Emma's wails. "I have 12A, but double quotes." The man stood up smoothly. "Here, let me help." He gently took the boarding pass from her hand and studied it. His movements were calm and deliberate, as if he had all the time in the world. "You know what? I think there might be some confusion with the seat assignments. But don't worry about it." He gestured to his seat. "Why don't you sit here for now? We can sort it out once we're in the air." Sarah hesitated. "I couldn't. This might be first class, and I only paid for economy." The man smiled. "Trust me, it's fine. Your little one needs some space to get comfortable." Before Sarah could protest further, he had already moved to help her settle into the wider, more comfortable seat. The leather was soft beneath her, and there was so much more room than she was used to in economy. Emma's crying began to soften as Sarah was finally able to hold her properly. "Thank you," Sarah breathed. "I'm Sarah, and this is Emma." "Michael," he replied, settling into what she assumed was her original economy seat without complaint. "And don't mention it. Flying with a baby can't be easy." As the plane prepared for takeoff, Michael proved to be remarkably helpful. When Emma's bottle rolled under the seat, he retrieved it without being asked. When Sarah couldn't reach the overhead compartment to get Emma's blanket, he stood up and got it for her. He seemed to anticipate her needs before she even realized them herself. "You're very kind," Sarah said as they reached cruising altitude. Emma had finally fallen asleep in her arms, and Sarah felt like she could breathe again. "Do you have children?" Michael's expression grew thoughtful. "No, I don't. But I've always hoped to someday." He paused, watching Emma's peaceful face. I run a company, and I spend most of my time thinking about business strategies and profit margins. But watching you with her, it reminds me what really matters." "What kind of company?" Sarah asked, genuinely curious. "We develop family-friendly apps and websites," Michael explained. "My team has been working on a platform to help single parents connect with resources and support systems. But honestly, we've been struggling to understand what single parents actually need." Sarah felt a spark of interest. Before Emma was born, she had worked in digital marketing. "That sounds wonderful. Single parenting can be so isolating. You feel like you're figuring everything out alone." "Exactly." Michael leaned forward slightly. "We have all these theories and focus group data, but I keep feeling like we're missing something essential. The real human experience." They talked quietly as the plane flew through the afternoon sky. Sarah found herself opening up about her struggles, the sleepless nights, the constant worry about money, the way simple tasks like grocery shopping had become major undertakings. Michael listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that showed he genuinely cared about understanding. "You know," Sarah said softly, "before Emma, I used to think I knew what I wanted from life. A successful career, a perfect marriage, a beautiful house. But now, what I want most is just support. Someone who understands that some days, getting everyone fed and dressed is a victory." Michael nodded. "That's exactly what I mean. Our app focuses on efficiency and scheduling, but maybe what people really need is community, understanding." As Emma woke up and began to fuss, Michael surprised Sarah again by offering to hold her while Sarah retrieved a fresh diaper from her bag. Emma, who usually cried with strangers, settled peacefully in his arms. "You're a natural," Sarah observed, watching him gently bounce Emma. "She's incredible," Michael said softly. "You're doing an amazing job with her." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. It had been so long since anyone had acknowledged how hard she was working, how much she was trying. "Some days, I don't feel like it. The fact that you care so much proves you're a wonderful mother," Michael said firmly. "And you're stronger than you know." As the plane began its descent into Denver, Sarah realized she didn't want this conversation to end. Michael had listened to her in a way that made her feel seen and valued. More than that, his passion for helping single parents seems genuine and deep. "I have a confession," Michael said as they prepared to land. "I'm actually the CEO of the company I mentioned. We're called Connect Family, and we're based here in Denver. I was flying back from a conference where I kept hearing the same thing, that our platform wasn't meeting real needs." Sarah looked at him with new understanding. "And then you met a single mother having a meltdown in the airplane aisle." "I met someone who reminded me why I started this company in the first place," Michael corrected gently. "Sarah, would you be interested in consulting with us? Not just about the app, but helping us understand how to really support single parents." Sarah's heart raced. I don't know. I'm just moving to Denver. I don't even have a job yet." "Think about it," Michael said. "We need someone with your perspective and experience. Someone who understands what it's really like." As they gathered their belongings, Michael helped Sarah with her bags without being asked. At the gate, he wrote his business card and phone number on the back of a napkin. "Call me when you're settled," he said. "Even if it's just to talk. You shouldn't have to figure everything out alone." Sarah looked down at the sleeping Emma in her arms, then at the business card in her hand. 3 hours ago, she had been overwhelmed and lost, sitting in the wrong seat with no idea what her future held. Now, as she walked through the Denver airport, with Emma peaceful in her arms and possibility blooming in her chest, she realized that sometimes the wrong seat turns out to be exactly where you need to be. Behind her, she could hear Michael talking quietly on his phone. "Yes, I want to completely restructure our approach. I met someone today who showed me what we've been missing. Real connection, real understanding." Sarah smiled and shifted Emma to her other arm. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for the first time in months, she felt like she wasn't facing them entirely alone. Sometimes the best things in life came from the most unexpected places. She had boarded the plane as a struggling single mother, with no clear direction. She was leaving it as a woman with purpose, potential, and the beginning of something that felt like hope.